So, it was awesome. I mean, come on. You got Henry Rollins in it. They take a bash at Bono. You've got Echo and the Bunnymen. Come on. And then a fight about Dark Phoenix? I mean, that's fucking sponsorship, my man. Okay. So, let's not waste any time. Let's bring out everyone who's here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, you've seen him already, Mr. Rick Remender. The other co-creator of Deadly Class, Mr. Wes Craig. Marcus himself, Benjamin Wadsworth. Master Lin, Benedict Wong. María Gabriela de Faría. Luke Tennie. And Liam James. Ladies and gentlemen, the creators in the class of Deadly Class. Now, I'm going to ask a bunch of dumb questions for a while. You're going to have to forgive that. And then we're going to take some questions from you guys. So you'll see there's some microphones here at the front. So once we indicate we're going to take the questions, please line up. And I just ask you guys two things. One, say your name. And secondly, have one question for one person if you don't mind. There's so many of these when someone says, I have a question for the entire cast. Yeah, and I have 24 fucking hours to be here, but I don't.
I thought we weren't with the language.
Whatever. You're the one who fucking ruined our intro.
It's just not a very professional.
I know, and for this family show, clearly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, nice, sweet stuff, right?
I mean, yeah.
Doris Day.
That's right.
Doris Day.
That was the inspiration.
So let's talk about a little bit about. Well, I want to start out with Marcus himself. Great job, man.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Woo! Thank you.
So I want to give a sense. You know, you didn't grow up in the '80s. So
no.
what was it like for you, kind of going into this world, and how did you get there?
It was really fun. I mean, we all like the '80s, right? We got music from Rick to listen to. We had the comics. It was I really enjoyed it, going back and like seeing the culture and you know.
We locked him up.
Yeah, they locked me up.
We inundated him. He had to listen
Put me in a room full of the
every
comics.
Cure album, and then make his way into like TSOL and some of the other punks.
So sad.
Yeah, they like taped headphones to my head, and then they made me.
Did they give you a Walkman?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
But they taped it to my hand.
You should have seen his reaction to the pornography album. It was really good.
I'm sure.
I thought they put you in a flotation tank full of LSD with 80s music there. I think that everyone all did that.
No, that was later.
Can we do that?
Research.
Luke and Liam, they did that to you too?
Absolutely.
So,
I don't remember.
I mean, but guys, you know, watching this pilot, you guys really, I mean, I did grow up in that era, and you know, you guys really nailed it, and big congrats to all of you for that. Big congrats to all of you for that. But I wanted to ask the actors, and let's start with Liam, and if everyone could, you know, give a sense of why you think this is a special show, and why you think it's going to resonate with people.
Why I think it's a special show and why I think it's going to resonate with people.
Exactly. Yes, Alex Trebek. Thank you.
I think, well, for me, when I first read the audition that I got for it, it spoke to me, and I had no idea that it took place in the 80s. I had no idea. There was not a lot of references in the scene that I got, and so to me, it was just more of like hearing Rick Remender's words were just like very honest and very timeless, and so I didn't feel any sort of pressure to worry about the 80s or anything like that. For me, off the bat, it was just a very human and fun experience. So yeah.
Luke?
I think it's special because we said the word honest. I think that's so true. It's interesting how it takes such a heightened world to bring out truth. The characters, we've seen these people. We've seen the guy who's just down and out and the critical cynic. We've seen the front. We know these people. And I think to your question about the 80s, that's what's exciting. Maybe we just don't communicate that differently now. Maybe we talk similarly. So the fact that, first we had a lot of help with costume, script. writing, they just set you up so you look like the people, then you say the words, and that's it, you know? You don't really have much more work to do after that. But it looks like the 80s because, you know, it's still the way we communicate today. And I think that's a really unique part. It's just exciting to be a part of it.
You know, Luke, I think one of the things that's interesting about your character is about Willie, and you know, I'm a big fan of the comics and what have you, and if you've read the comics, you see the way he evolves. You know, this is a character who very early on announces a vulnerability, and that's kind of the secret share between him and Marcus as friends. That's a real departure, and I was wondering for you as an actor, what was that like to make that shift that we see here, and obviously it continues throughout the series?
Well, what's cool about a character like that is as a performer, a lot of people try to layer stuff and, oh, well, this means he's acting, or this. When you have words like that, you say them. You got cast because what you brought was what they liked. They trusted me, and I trusted them. The words are enough. Instead of trying to put stuff on it or experience something emotionally, you just say the words, believe that what they're saying is their truth. It comes off honestly, and you know, like I said about it, it keeps going back to the script. The only thing a script is words. So to experience that vulnerability as Willie, it was just because the words were in the right order. They were succinct and concise. You just have a lot of help with a script that bomb. Rick.
Oh, you just got a nice shout out. Look at that.
You almost smiled.
And you know that's a load of shit, by the way. What,
It's not.
I mean,
Language.
That is, you know, the humility is nice, Luke. But the reality is that you guys bring a lot to it, and what you bring to it is authenticity and real emotion, and that's not simple. You know, it's nice that you downplay your contribution, and I'll do my end, and we'll just sit here and we'll be, you know. Yeah,
Oh, you guys are gonna do the fake humility thing?
Geez,
Oh my God, we're so thrilled to be
it was
here.
All,
it's amazing.
You know, I barely spent any time on the script.
You didn't get any notes from the network?
Nobody really cared about the script, and these beautiful people brought all this garbage to life.
Thanks, man.
So good job, right? Good job. Maria, by the way, can we Maria's outfit's amazing.
Right?
Like, that outfit is amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's
This
also
is like the
vegan
second time.
friendly.
Like you should win some best dressed Comic-Con award, and I'm not talking about like the cosplay
I'll
stuff.
accept
Like,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody.
Maria, your character, you know, there's that very nice scene, and in a lot of ways I want to talk about this because we all saw it watching the pilot here. You know, your character emerges as a very complex one, and a lot of different issues going on there. But I know one of the things for you is you're very proud as a Latino woman to be playing this role and the platform it gives you. I wanted to know a little bit more about that.
It's amazing. I feel very, very grateful, not only because of that, but because we have amazing female characters on the show that are not afraid to get the job done. And
Or to get smashed in the face, it looks like.
That too, and that's amazing. And for me, as a Latina, as a Venezuelan, I feel so proud to be here. Yes, I feel so proud to be here, and I want to let everybody know that dreams do come true if you are awake and if you chase them and if you work hard. So I'm just, you know, living the dream and trying to be my best for the show.
Benjamin, I mean, one of the big elements of the show is your relationship with Master Lin. So, I mean, Benedict is kind of Comic-Con royalty at this point, aren't you, my friend? I mean,
Working on that indie film he got going on.
I tried to get him back. Do you guys know the thing that Mark Ruffalo did last night on The Tonight Show about how he almost gave away the title of the new Avengers film? I tried so hard to get him to tell me back. I was like, oh yeah, Mark said it last night on TV. Yeah, it's all there. Wouldn't say a thing. Wouldn't say a thing. But I talk. You know, you guys have been up in Vancouver for several months now making this. You're almost about, I think, halfway through. Benedict, what's this experience been like for you? I mean, this is like what, your third project with Anthony and Joe Russo, who are executive producers on this. What's this been like for you?
It's been very seamless. It's been a nice 2-for-2 job with the Russos, and to be introduced to Rick and this and Wes and the world that they've created, and just to stand alongside this, you know, incredible ensemble of actors. You know, I mean, I'm all of a sudden I'm the veteran now, and every time I say the word veteran, like a grey hair grows again in my head. Seriously, it's true. But I mean, it's a real honor just to see, I mean, the youth and the talent.
Well, that you really do
and
sound like that says, oh,
youth.
that's what politicians say, right?
The youth, the talent.
The youth of today.
And the passion that they've got really kind of, I'm just sort of riding their wave really on a little bodyboard. And we're getting through it, and there's a lot of kindness and sensitivity on set, and we're all happy to be at work, and you know that's a great thing to experience, you know, and yeah, it's a real joy, yeah, and you know that was our first time to see that, and we're just bowled over, really, yeah.
Wes, I mean, for you, you know, you guys working on comics, you know, you're working on the illustrations, working on the script for them. That's something that, like most writers, happens somewhat in isolation. What is it like for you to see what you did 5 years ago now showing up on the big screen, now going to be a series on TV next year?
Yeah, that was by far, that's what, like the one thing I wanted to say, that is by far the most surreal experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like that was.
And you
just
were sitting down the
crazy.
whole time.
Just watching everybody. I had to for some stupid reason I drank like 5 liters of water before I got here, so I had to run to the washroom halfway. I was like, but that gave me a chance to like look at everybody watching it, and it was a trip, you know. But yeah, it's definitely like a bizarro world type of situation to just sit and work on your stuff alone in a room, just, you know. I get up to change some diapers once in a while, and then I just keep coming back and drawing the comic books, you know, and then to come to this world. But it's a great thing to see it faithfully produced, like faithfully to the comic book. Obviously, Rick is keeping it true to what we were going for, and seeing it come to life, seeing you guys do these characters is like just absolutely crazy, and seeing the audience, like, you know, you guys were laughing and going, oh my God, you know, just it's great to see the reactions that we were hoping for, obviously. Yeah.
We can end the panel now. That's so good. But that's, I mean, I wonder about that because, you know, people, you know, in the past several years, of course, now in San Diego and in here, you know, it's about the shows, about the movies, but this is called Comic-Con. And one of the things I think that's great about Deadly Class is this is a comic that came out of this. This is an indie comic that came out of this and has now grown. And I just think that's fantastic. Oh my God. Well, that's not where I thought you were going to be to tell me that. So I'm going to praise your comic book later on, but we have somebody else joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Lana Condor. Hey!
What? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, gosh.
Because when you have matching shirt and matching shoes, you sit in the center.
Oh, yeah.
For real, you look fly.
How did you guys like the episode, the pilot? Yeah? Oh, good. Yay. Awesome.
They were booing until you got here. It was super weird.
You totally saved our ass. It was
Thank
going
you.
nowhere.
Hang on, so it took you an hour to put that on, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It took a bit.
So Lana, you didn't see it, but they fucking loved it.
Cool.
So give us a sense of how has this been for you? I mean, you know, your character kicks ass. Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's not like a lot of boys I've loved before.
Well done.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an amazing character to play, and my favorite part is the kicking of the ass. So, yeah,
I just how Benedict nods that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But it's amazing. I'm so bummed I didn't get to see it because I love it. I love
heard
it
you
so
know
much.
people, so you might be able to see it again before January.
You didn't make the cut.
Oh, I was cut completely great.
It worked out.
But you know, one thing Maria was talking about, and I'd be interested in hearing from both of you about this, is one of the things about this is, oh my God, they actually like each other. Fuck. You know, about how this is a show that really has strong female characters that are equal, if not on top. And I mean that like in many different ways of the guys. I want to get a sense from you guys. Oh, come on, really? Gutter heads? Really? Come on. You just saw this thing. I want to get a sense from you and Maria more about that, about strong female characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I think that for the both of us, playing such strong characters, we've taken that into our daily life as well. And so, like, it is such an honor to play someone who's fearless, I think. And I've been taking that now as I live my life, and that's an amazing gift to have. where a character actually makes you grow as a person as well. But I think the women in the show are so fierce and really honestly like I think that they like hold the show really well. And it's amazing because every single female character is quite strong. And they don't need help from the men. So there's that. Yeah.
Assassin knows no gender.
True. Good is good.
Or bad is bad.
You got that right.
Rick, where did this idea come from Deadly Class for you guys? And Wes, too.
Well, I mean, the very origin of it was I was working on a story called Reagan Youth, and it was going to be sort of chronicling all of the various misadventures my friends and I got up to in the mid-'80s. And it came about as I'd been at Marvel for 7 or 8 years, and I'd been writing superheroes, and I was just feeling a little burned out, and I wanted to do something that was just entirely probably, in my mind, was just for me. And I tricked Wes. I called Wes, and he had ideas and stories, and I looped him in. I tricked him into the thing.
You put down breadcrumbs and he followed you? Like
I don't want to get into the
Locked me
what
in a room.
happened. There's legal. There's a whole. There's. Yeah, it's better we don't talk about that. But no, I mean, I convinced him. Wes could do a lot of things. He's a very talented artist. And so Wes and I teamed up. We got on the phone. We started talking about this stuff, taking various stories from youth, and then thinly veiling it and masquerading behind the heightened world of Kings, so that you can tell some of the stories and things you got up to and have plausible deniability.
Now, of course, the comic's been running for several years now, and you guys are about to kick off the show. How close an adaptation of the comic is the show? I mean, we know, for instance, when you look at something like Walking Dead, they've made some serious shifts and changes, and The Walking Dead is a foundation to the TV show, not really an adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was important for me and was that we take the purity of intention that we had in the book and translate that into the TV show. I mean, I've given my life over to this thing for 3 years now, and so to the point where I'm co-show running and lead writer and running the room and going up and down to Vancouver and trying to make sure that what it was that spark, that thing that we cooked up, is translated into the bigger version of it. And we've had a hell of a lot of support. There hasn't been any fights. You go into something like this and you anticipate they're going to want to change this or that. But from Sony to SYFY to the Russo Brothers to everybody involved, we have been doing our very best to honor what it was that we created in that small room before we were ever considering that it might become something bigger.
Now, speaking of bigger room, if you guys want to start lining up for questions, we are going to take them. Dude with the T-shirt totally gets to go first, by the way. Like that, he's rocking the Deadly Class T-shirt. But before we go there, Benjamin, while you guys line up, Benjamin, for you, can you give us any hints about what happens to Marcus going forward?
He gets beat up a bit more.
I love how you and Rick are making like deadly class eye contact there. Like, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Yeah, they'll do.
And Wes is like,
Don't talk about the cyborg episode.
What? Exactly. Turn away. Tell the truth. All right. So we're gonna take some questions, sir. In the Deadly Class T-shirt, where did you get your T-shirt? Nice, nice. Is that mic on? Yes. All right.
My man
First
over here
question is for whom?
First thing I want to say as a statement is, Jesus Christ, that first episode was fucking amazing.
Thanks, man.
Ben, you fucking killed it as Marcus.
Thank you, thank you.
Everybody else agreed to. Like, I noticed at the end of the episode when they showed Marcus's room, it was kind of empty. I was wondering if that other room, Marcus's roommate for the comic, is going to be there, Shabnam.
Sure, yeah. Shabnam is coming. That is Marcus's temporary quarters, and the way we introduce Shabnam, I think, is a lot of fun.
We think you're gonna like it.
Yes. Isaiah, the actor, is phenomenal. He's not only embodying it; he is so brave. We'll let you see when the show's out.
So we leave with a Deadly Class T-shirt, very nice. And I have to say, I mean, if you're gonna rock an outfit, that's the outfit to rock.
Yes.
Look at that. Next question.
Yes, hello.
Base.
Name is Freddie. So I picked up the comic this year, sometime between this year and last year, and I haven't read the most recent one, but after viewing the first episode, phenomenal. Again, everybody, great job.
Thank you.
aside from having a very vulnerable face, Marcus has very vulnerable emotions that are being played on him by Saya and Maria from time to time. And I know that, some things come out, but going forward, will he form like some more emotional fortitude, especially now that he has a sort of confidant in Willie? And, will we get to see that?
And who's your question for?
Whoever claims it.
I will claim your question.
Yo, that's a real cool question. And what's set up between Marcus and Willie is, it's that interesting dynamic because you can see that Marcus has the balls to do what needs to be done. But at the same time, Willie, although it might be from fear, is more morally centered. So they both want these things in each other that's really difficult for them to articulate, and conversations can get heated. That said, he's put that's his place to be able to put a lot of his trouble, but can he trust it? So he's dealing with these femme fatales and doesn't even have a real homie he could talk to because he's fake half the time. It's gonna be really interesting to see how all of that plays out. I think you're gonna like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great outfit.
Just before you ask, I have a question. When you have a show like this, which is based on a long-running comic, in many ways, fans, we sort of know what's going to happen. But are you planning on having a bunch of shifts and changes and new characters that we have not seen in the comic?
For sure, new characters. And as for the shifts, I think that we want to maintain the integrity of the skeleton while still allowing ourselves leeway so that we're not on rails. So people who've read the book can expect some surprises, and we want to make sure that stuff exists, as well as maintaining the overall arc of what's going on with the characters. But there are new characters coming, and I don't think fans of the book will be comfortable. There's some surprises in terms of what we've.
It's going to turn out to be a pro-Reagan series.
It's very
conservative. Yeah.
Very conservative. Is the message is I think white
Work harder, pay less. Yeah.
all that, and screw the poor. I think that it's the
You can see that coming a mile
It's
away.
what we need more of nowadays.
I could tell. Yeah, totally. More selfishness, less love. Your question, madame?
Hi. First of all, Wes, I bought your guys' comic book. You were at a panel at Image Comics for this event 4 years ago, and then I was stalking Lana on Instagram because what else is there to do at work? And I saw the trailer, and I freaked out. Everyone thought I was having a panic attack.
At work?
Yes.
Nice. Well done.
And so this is the coolest thing to ever see, my meshing of my TV show and comic book, so thank you. Lana, you're
By the way,
amazing.
we did not pay her anything. We don't even know her.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, so I know that Saya has a lot of, she's a very different character from the character you've played before in To All the Boys I Loved Before, and I'm just wondering, what actually are you taking from, if you're taking anything from Laura Jean or Saya that you're, transferring to the character that helps to do that? Is there any semblance between those two characters at all, or are they completely different wavelengths?
Listen, Saya would not survive at a normal high school like Laura Jean, and Laura Jean would for sure not survive in King's Dominion. They're so vastly different.
No crossover.
Literally,
To all the boys I've killed before.
Zero crossover. What?
You're the crossover.
I'm the crossover. That's a great question because I've been thinking about that actually, but they are two polar opposite human beings, which is exciting to play. That's the whole fun of acting, right? Acting. But, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we're kind of matching, color scheme.
Oh, fly.
In fact, there's a lot of people rocking the yellow today. Look at this. That's brave.
What's up, y'all? My name is Will. I've been a fan of the graphic novel for a while now, so I want to say thank you for this.
Yay.
It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And my question is for Rick and/or Wes. Being that these characters are so complex and also different, I'm curious if there were, aside from the graphic novel, if there were any other references or conversations that you guys had to really help the performances pull through the way these characters behave on screen. Or is it kind of like Luke said earlier, that a well-written script is really all that's needed?
You know, it's complicated. I think that ultimately one of the things, I'm a believer in collaboration. So, you know, Wes and I co-owned Deadly Class. We co-created it. It came out of both of our minds, and these are our babies. And then as the ball rolls down the hill and it collects other people, you still have to let that happen. And I haven't coached any of them. Their characters are their version of the characters, so it's a 50-50 mix. It's what's in the book, it's what's in the script, and then it's what they bring to it and how they then bring it to life. And I'm a firm believer in allowing people free reign to explore that and find their creative vision for it, as opposed to, you know, like, no, this is the way you have to do it. I don't think, nobody got into the arts.
You didn't master Lin on anyone.
I didn't master Lin on anyone. I have beat the shit out of all of them at one point or another. Except for Maria.
I don't think you could take them.
No, it's
sorry.
true.
Like,
no,
I don't.
No, the doughy middle-aged guy who's been sitting in front of a computer for 20 years can't take down. No, it's so it really is just a matter of letting people explore and seeing what they do is just amazing. You know, you could listen to any of them read the phone book and, you know, sit on set and be like, well done, very good, yes.
Nobody has a phone book anymore.
What happened?
No, nobody has phone books.
Grandpa's tired.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you, Will.
Another T-shirt. Nice, well done.
I got it from my mom for Christmas.
Thanks, Mom. Way to go, Mom.
Firstly, Mr. Remender, you are my favorite writer ever, period. Uncanny X-Force, best comic that's ever been made. Anyway.
By the way, nice Dark Phoenix little throw in there. Yeah, well done, and well done. You trying to get, like, if they do a sequel to the new movie, you're trying to, like, get on board for that?
I think that's
open auditioning.
Yeah.
Open auditioning.
If anything I've done is to ingratiate myself to Marvel.
Yes, exactly. They love you.
Yeah, they're big fans.
So you've done so many Image comics at this point, between Low, Black Science, Seven to Eternity. So what is it about Deadly Class that made you want to get to this point with it?
Well, I mean, look, the unpolished version of that is that there are a lot of, these are all characters based on people I grew up with, or amalgamations of people that I grew up with, or people that I knew throughout my life. And a lot of the stories are heightened versions of things that were stories in my life, or things that happened to me. And so it's been a matter of sort of taking that and then mixing the fiction aspect of it, so that what you get, I think, for me anyway, there's a lot of secret little personal business in there that nobody else knows, where I get to sit back and go like, well, that was real, and it's never what anybody thinks. So there is, it's, you know, not to be self-aggrandizing, because Wes's contributions to this are equal, but in regards to that one aspect, that's the thing that, and you know, every writer does that to an extent, but I think Deadly Class has the most of my past sort of buried inside of it.
I think the drug trip is going to be pretty telling.
I don't know, that didn't.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Isabella, and I've been following you guys, Rick and Wes, the Deadly Class series, since I was in high school. So I look young.
So you relate.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan. So what I wanted to ask you guys is, after watching the first episode, I see that I'm so happy that you guys didn't hold back on like curse words and violence, because that's also a big part of the comic book and what makes it really great.
There was violence?
No, we're gonna cut that out. But
this is the unedited version.
Oh my God. Okay. So my question is, do you think that through the television series, do you think maybe you'd open more opportunities that you didn't take in the comic book, or maybe if the comic book, you think that there are certain scenes where maybe could be expressed differently through TV that you would change?
Sure. Look, I mean, I'll just put it on the table. One of the things that in the comic book, the school is a metaphor for all of the rotten institutions that pull in innocent people like turbines and spit out Wall Street scumbags. I mean, the world is full of these institutions, and Kings and the assassin aspect of it is a metaphor for those things. And when we're doing the comic book, we do things that it's a beautiful illustration on paper, and we live in the idea of the metaphor. The relationship that you were in when you were 15 that felt like it was the end of the fucking world. Well, here it is. You know, like that's the idea behind it. But in the book, when there are guns and things like that, you're looking at it through a smear of Vaseline. You know, it's a different world. but when it's on screen, it's real. So there's no guns in King's Dominion, and that was another, and with the way the world has changed since we started developing it, it's like, fuck, it's just like, it's heartbreaking to even imagine. So Master Lin in the TV show has an ideology that guns are weak, and that he only trains like old school assassin business, poisons, darts, swords, fun stuff. And that helps heighten the world as well. So I think that in developing it, we do keep an eye on things that we can do in the book that don't necessarily work the same way on screen.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead. The comic book has to be play to their strengths in TV and movies, and they all have to play to their own strengths. I've had a lot of questions about how are they going to make these illustrations like translate to the TV screen, and I was like, well, I do all these crazy little panel things and stuff, and I don't want to see any kind of direct translation in that way. That's because you can do that in comics and on TV. It's there's different, each medium has its own strengths. So. But
to that end, Wes is involved in the show in storyboarding some of the drug trip sequences and some other things that are coming up, and it will be a direct pulling out of his brain into the land of not that any of us.
Spoiler alert.
Moving on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another T-shirt. You're hiding it though. Nice. Well,
Yes. Awesome. Man, I need a T-shirt, man.
do you guys have, by the way, do you get royalties on the merch?
Yes. I got one shirt.
Yeah, renegotiate that contract. NBC Universal, they got real money. Just saying.
My name is Andre. My question actually follows up with what Luke was saying about
Luke, yeah, thanks.
how everybody wears masks, right?
Mhm.
And like watching the show, it's like each of you is wearing a different type of mask. Like watching your character and the way he portrays himself to the people he surrounds himself with, and then the way he portrays himself to like somebody like Marcus, who he kind of barely knows, but he's like, this guy's kind of outside the circle. I feel like I can let my wall down with him. How did you translate that? Like seeing it was awesome, but like I want to hear from you.
Well, what's really cool is that's a good dude. Like that's my friend in real life. Ben and I'll have chats about our process.
We're roommates.
Thanks, man. But like, what's really cool is he's legit like a nice, kind dude. So in moments like that, it's kind of about not just the truth and the character, but if there's an opportunity to use the truth of like real life, then you can use it. And we had a couple of those moments by that time on the pilot. We had spent time at the hotel chatting, getting to know each other. So in that moment on screen, it's Luke and Ben. But we have on the costume, we have on the hair, the makeup, everything that is the characters. So we take a piece of reality and bring it into the show because something like that deserves truth.
Thank you, my man. We only have time for one more question. So I'm really sorry. Are you wearing a Deadly Class T-shirt? So do we. Trust us. We really apologize, guys. We really apologize. Here, hold on a sec. Hold this. Here. You want the pin?
Yeah. Take the pen. Take it.
This is
Take the
exactly
pen.
what Deadly Class is about here. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Sharing the love.
This is the nicest panel about killing ever.
Fuck off. You are the last question of the evening, my friend.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
My name's Kadeem, and I just have to say, you guys created something real special here. Like, really special, and I can't wait to see more. Rick, I've been following you ever since Uncanny X-Force, and, which got me into Image Comics, from Low to Tokyo Ghost. You just have this way of always building a world and creating characters that are victim of their own circumstance. How do you inspire the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, for those characters?
Well, it's life, right? I mean, we all have our varying degrees of nightmares and bullshit we swim through. And I think that
Whoa, nicely done.
Any aspect of that is people crave authenticity and they crave honesty. And I think that when you're being sold a product, you're being sold a product. And if it feels like bullshit, people just disconnect from it anymore. There's too many options. And so I always try in all the books to just find a way to process my own life and things that I am experiencing or viewing through the lens of various characters, and then try to find my, through the therapy I went through, all the various ways that you hopefully do find a light at the end of the tunnel, that is also at least an option for the character, or at least seems like it's potentially going to be there. Sometimes life is bad for many, many, many years, and so the characters I write will go through life being bad for many, many years. And it can be unrelenting. I don't care. I mean, I've gone through that stuff enough that I'm like, yeah, I went through like 10 years, it was fucked. And there was no light at the end of the tunnel, but then one came. And I think that when you do that and it's honest, and when the light shows, there's a catharsis and a joy to it that's, I think it's a lot more impactful than when it's always visible down the hallway.
Thank you very much. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. The creators and the cast of Deadly Class. Have a great Comic-Con. You can go on to #DeadlyClass and #NYCC. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.